Well, I think we are live.
Okay.
Good morning, world. Good morning. Now we're starting. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Today we are continuing with our series of interviews and neurographica journeys. And today I would like to introduce you Wendy Apple. She is in Kentucky, right?
Correct. Yes.
In her home studio, beautiful studio.
Thank you.
We'll have a little conversation. She has been now also part of the global Neurographica community. I welcome you. I congratulate you on completing the instructor's course, correct?
Yes. Yes. Just completed. Thank you.
Just completed.
Tomorrow. Yes.
Fresh. Diploma is still warm. The memories of working hard are still vivid. Exactly. Lots of dreaming, I'm assuming. Yes. So let's talk a little bit. Tell me about yourself and tell us how was it you found Neurographica or Neurographica had found you? What happened?
Okay. Well, I had a history of illness and trauma and grief up until, well, a variety of things occurred. And at the age of 39, I'm 61 now. So at the age of 39, things really spiraled downward for me. My son died, and that was a huge grief, but also change in my life, and affected my body and my health just deteriorated. So for the next 15 years or so, roughly, I spent time trying to find ways to get healthy, trying to get a diagnosis from Western medicine, which wasn't able to do anything for me. Eventually, I found a doctor who treated me, but I just kept getting sicker. And so as I deteriorated, just to be clear, I was deteriorated to the point that I was in a wheelchair. I often couldn't feed myself, often couldn't speak. So I was very, very ill. And I tried to remain positive that I would find help, and I tried help in a variety of ways, and I just wasn't getting any better. And so I reached a crossroads in my life where I decided I wasn't going to get better. It was time to accept that I wasn't going to get better. It was time to accept that I was ill, and to stop being disappointed every morning when I woke up. So we proceeded with that for a little while, and then a miracle healer walked into my life, and doing energy medicine, which I was not familiar with, had never heard of, didn't know anything about. And I decided to take the plunge and started working with her. And within 2 weeks, I was walking again, and my life began to turn around. But what she told me at the beginning of that journey was that the most difficult healing is in your psyche, that she could clear the disease, but convincing me that I was well enough to have a future was beyond anything she was going to be able to help me with, that was going to be work that I had to do on my own. So I worked with her for about 1.5 years. Then I found another healing modality that took me another step forward, HBLU. And then I was involved in art in a very peripheral way, very, very amateur, doing it on my own, but felt that was part of my healing journey. And one day I was flipping through some art posts on Facebook, and somebody posted a Neurographica drawing. And initially I flipped right past it, just like I was looking at everything, just sort of looking. And I felt a literal physical reaction in my eyes. They began to like twitch. And I said, I don't know what that thing was. I better go back and see what that is. So I scrolled back and I found it, read enough to figure out that this was actually neuro art, but somebody was showing it. And began my Google search that all of us Neurographica crazy people do, where we get into it to learn what this thing is all about. And within a month, I was enrolled in my first basic user course. And within an hour of the first course, I knew that I had figured out what was going to heal me, and also what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. So to say that it was transformational would be a substantial understatement.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a story. I'm having goosebumps right now. I'm delighted. I'm delighted to just be in your presence, because that depth of faith and dedication is, you don't come across this every day.
Thank you, Anna. I appreciate
that. And being the humble voice that asks questions, because that's maybe my life purpose and mission in Neurographica, to ask and get the answers and bring it, because hopefully somebody's listening us today right now, and says, hey.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So it was let's see, that was a year and a half ago, I think, that I first started my Neurographica journey. So I've been pretty much doing it constantly since then. Given that the instructor's course is almost a year long, that tells you how intensely I've been doing it since then.
I suspect you have a favorite algorithm to share.
Well, I do. Well, I'm crazy about a lot of them. I was going to show a little bit about Neuro tree today. I guess what I wanted to say is that the things that are really catching me about Neurographica, or about the idea of teaching it and working with people, it's amazingly thrilling to see somebody else get the kind of energy that I got from doing the drawing. So that's fun, and enough of a reward all in of itself. But the other thing that's become very important to me is that I feel like Neurographica, the beauty of Neurographica is that it is so simple. It can be very complex, and we can go very deeply into it. And there are all kinds of fascinating scientific reasons that it works. But most people don't need to know any of that in order to get a great deal from the drawing process. And so one of my goals, I'm working with 2 other women who are also Neurographica crazy, and we are trying to think about ways to make it more accessible and get it out, at least within the US, how to reach a broader audience. So that's another passion that I wanted to tell you about. So it's just very exciting. It's all been very exciting. And then
exciting. It is absolutely exciting.
Yes, yes. And then the other thing that you said you didn't read my essay, but I wrote about this in my essay. Part of the graduation process is writing an essay about how Neurographica has transformed us in some way. And one of the things that I found really interesting as I was working was we were being told that based on our own country's laws, we needed to be cautious who we worked with. We're not trained psychologists. We're not even degreed art therapists. And so at first I was just concerned, well, we're not going to be able to help people who really need help. And how can I get around that? What can I do short of going and getting a psychology degree? And that was when I had the idea of partnering with a psychologist who would refer clients to me and I would work with under their guidance and with their support, and then send the clients back, and we would sort of work together. And so I did that with 3 separate clients for my practicum, for my specialist certification, and it was phenomenally successful, so that I was able to work with people with very serious issues that normally people who only have a certification in Neurographica would be warned off from working with, because our work could reintroduce a trauma, or send them spiraling in some direction. But with the safety net of the psychologist working with me, it worked beautifully, and was very rewarding. So those are kind of the directions that I'm thinking about going with this.
We're all here to support you. Nothing I can say. Sounds exciting.
Well, good. All right. Well, would you like me to show you my my vision of how I transformed the Neurographica tree just a little bit?
Yes, just a little bit for maybe this first interview, because my senses are telling me that this is not it's the first time we're getting together, but it's definitely not the last one. So
well, good.
The purpose of this initial interview will, let's get started, but then, sky is the limit, and every time I have an opportunity to I think you came up with a great label, the Neuro Crazy Ladies, and I think I'm one of them as well, and it's the more the merrier. So let's get started. Yeah, well, let's see what you got for today. Okay. And if we need to schedule another one later, I'm sure that we will figure that out.
Okay.
Maybe more. So I'm gonna leave you. The floor will be yours for some good 45, 50 minutes. And whenever you feel like you're ready, I'll come back and we'll chat a little more.
Okay, great. All right, I'm gonna switch my camera around.
You switch your camera, and I'll be here with you. Actually, I'm gonna do drawing with you too.
Oh, great. Okay, good.
All right. Well, good luck.
Right. Switch this. Thank you. All right. Hopefully you can see my paper okay. All right. Well, I'm assuming most of the audience here is familiar with Neurographica and familiar with the Neuro tree. So I want to do the Neuro tree. I'm going to skip over or skip very quickly through the parts that we all know from drawing before, and then talk about the way that it applies in my life and the way I've expanded it based on the things that I've learned through my instructor training. So as you know, with the Neuro tree, we start first by drawing essentially the outsides of the trunk, starting at the bottom, doing a nice neuro line, giving ourselves plenty of roots, and then out for the crown. So we'll do that first. And then we typically will add as many neuro lines as we feel we want to. We got lots of practice doing these lines during the instructor course. So my lines still aren't as wiggly as many, but they're getting better. Again, I'm just going to do this part quickly because what I want to show you happens after we do the basic tree that we're all familiar with. So when I started Neurographica and when I first did the Neuro tree, and when I was first beginning to figure out how to open up a little bit, open up these channels for healing and get a little bit deeper into my subconscious, this is how I saw the tree. This is how we were taught the tree. So I did this, and then we would do our circles for the fruits, and I would think about this as my past down here and my present up here and my future up here. And it didn't matter what we were drawing about, right? We could be drawing about health. We could be drawing about abundance. We could be drawing about gratitude. Just, the subject could be based on whatever the teacher was leading or whatever topic I wanted to pursue. And then the labels would change. But regardless of what I was drawing on, this was the basic drawing that we all did. And as I got deeper into Neurographica, what I learned was that this piece of my life, this, let me just put a line here, this present, got almost smaller or less significant, because I began to see this tree once we had colored it and done our circles and labeled them and thought about what our future was going to look like and what gifts we were bringing through from the past. And I would then, and I couldn't find a finished one to show you, but I would then take this original drawing and I'm going to just show you, turn it into a 9-paper drawing. So there's one on top. You can not quite, I don't know how to get my camera further enough away to show you, but one on top, one here, one here, one here. So we've got 9 tiles, and this one remains in the center. And now my crown goes out like this. And I'll extend all my lines into all of my pieces of paper like that. But in doing that, I'm only growing my future, and I'm growing the roots of my past. I never change the size of my present. My present is my present. And in doing that, first, let's focus on the past. What I began to see was that the gifts or the roots that seeded my present were so much deeper and larger than I first recognized as I was drawing the tree, that I began to see the roots of everything through my life, through past lives, through genetic lives, in the sense that the way my parents were raised informed the way they raised me. And that had an impact on who I am today. And so, you know, these 3 pieces of paper, you can't see my hands, I'm stretching beyond my camera, but these 3 pieces of paper here that are representing my roots become enormous. And I begin to see my life so differently. And then the same is true, then we skip through to the present, again remains the same. But the future, I again then recognize, is huge. It is, it's almost unimaginable. The first time I had that vision was doing the score drawing, when we talked about the goals, but how the goals actually are really just the jumping off point for the next piece. And when I have this tree spread out all the way across the top, you can see that that future becomes endless, and those fruits become almost unimaginably large. Anyway, so that's sort of my vision with the neuro tree, and the idea that I went from this person, this one piece, and this was all I could see of myself, and that through the process of Neurographica, I began to see myself growing exponentially, both into the future and the support I had from my past. And so, Anna, I don't know if you want to pop back or if we want to just keep drawing on this drawing a little bit more, but I know the drawing itself would be too big to get through with everybody doing 9 pages in 20 minutes.
It's my voice. I think go ahead and do a little bit of what is wanting to happen here.
Okay, great. I'm going to grab some tape to make that happen.
I think what you have just explained is a pretty important fundamental part of the algorithm, and you've done it beautifully. So.
So I guess for me, it's not just, that's the metaphor for what I've been through this process in terms of what it's done for me and what I think it can do for others who choose the route of taking the courses, but also I think more importantly, or as importantly, what it can do for the world, for individuals who choose to take a few courses as a way to grow themselves and to get deeper into their own subconscious. So when I first started doing art, I knew it made me feel better. I'm trying to see if I can get in my camera. Here, I'm gonna get rid of my face and I think you would see better. There we go. I knew that the art was healing. I didn't know why. I didn't know what it was doing for me. And one of the beauties of Neurographica, taking the instructor's course or taking some of the advanced algorithms, is beginning to learn why it works, how it works, what it's doing to your neural system, how the rounding strengthens the pathways and smooths out any conflicts that we feel, things that we run into, makes life smoother. So, that initially, but eventually then growing into how it actually expands our thinking by giving us access to our subconscious mind and our subconscious wisdom. Never forget my first instructor in my first basic user course, Anna Romanenko, saying that what she loved about Neurographica at the beginning was that she wanted the help of therapy, but she didn't want to talk to anybody about it, about what her problems were. And that was why Neurographica appealed to her. And I think that's true for a lot of us. We don't necessarily want to revisit old traumas in the way that you are expected to in traditional psychotherapy. And that Neurographica has the ability to help us heal without having to face or revisit or relive any of those things, if we choose not to. I haven't figured out yet what kind of teacher I'm going to be in terms of talking. My natural mode is definitely to fill silence. I found that with my own teachers, when they talked through the entire drawing process, it became very difficult to get lost in my own thoughts. So I appreciated the teachers that were quieter, but I confess that's not my natural proclivity. So this is one way of rounding. I know everybody eventually comes across what they're more comfortable with. Some people just like to round the corners. And I worked with another teacher who had us retracing the entire line and drawing to strengthen the connection all together and make the lines darker and wider, to help you later see the patterns where the universal lines would go and where the fixation might be, a fixing might be. So I can't round everything. Let me see what my timing is. I can't round everything within the time that we have. But for those of you who are newer to the algorithm, you can see that even without this page, the second page on, it looks like a tree. You have the, and that's typically what you would do in class, is just that much. And so that shift in perspective to including a very robust root system and crown in your tree really changes the perspective and makes for a huge piece of art. The thing that one of the things Anna Denning taught us by example on drawing with a group and trying to get done within a set time frame was that when we get to the coloring, which I'm going to go ahead and start prematurely because I'm going to run out of time. I don't have time to round everything, but she would do everything. She would commonly do everything lightly, very, very, very quickly. And then when she was entirely done, she would say, I'll go back and fix all that in the style section, which was great. That freed me up to be able to keep up with the drawing and take away the pressure of trying to finish it all on time. So you can see that as I'm adding, as I'm adding color and rounding in these lines here, that it's very easy to just extend the lines out into your new page and even create new branches that come off of some of these other possibilities, just to grow that. Other thing that I really enjoyed after taking the composition course was the idea of the 3 thicknesses of lines. And so often during my style phase, I like to grab a thin pencil after I've done a lot of this, sometimes even after I've colored, and I guess it would be after I've colored, but just grabbing a small pencil or pen and just adding a lot of, I don't even know if you can see that, this one's so thin. Adding a lot of thinner lines to give depth to the picture. Pretty hard to see, or pretty hard to see on the camera. Hopefully, even without me not doing the whole tree for you, you see the idea and the advantages of turning it into a multi-day project to think about your future. See, Anna, when we talked before the class, you said that it's okay to say hi to people. And so I'll go ahead and say hello to my grandchildren, Lily and Alex and Sophia, who all dream that someday I'll be a famous YouTuber, whatever that means. And a special thanks to Sophia, who helped me clean up the studio and prepare for this class today. The other thing that really began to hit home with the instructor course was the idea that while you may love your picture when you're done, we're not so much creating art as we are accessing our subconscious. And that's much more important than the finished product. That is to say, than the finished product on the paper. The finished product is us. For me, that was really freeing because it, well, took the pressure off of making something pretty, but also helped remind me to turn inward and think about the reflections I was having as I was moving forward. For those of you who are considering the course, the reflection process will be pushed very, very hard. And love it or hate it, at the end of the course, I think you will recognize its value. I certainly do. So if there's anybody watching who hasn't done one of these drawings before, we're not following the order as we should be. Everything should be carefully rounded before we start the coloring, and I just didn't do that because I wanted to get to everything, get to every step. Another thing that I found that was fascinating, and I think I primarily learned this because of having to revisit my drawings often as I was writing my essays and turning things in, is that when you focus on a particular topic on a drawing, if you have an interest in revisiting that topic, one very quick way to do that, or dive deeper into it, is to take an old drawing on the topic and add some more lines to it and just reflect on that drawing that you've already done. That was one of the tricks we had to use in order to get back to updating a reflection weeks after we'd done the original drawing when we needed to make changes because of teacher input. Another thing that I've become interested in since we started this course is the idea of how few of us there are who are native English speakers, do not speak Russian, who are now drawing Neurographica. We, of course, owe a great debt of gratitude to those who did the translating work and those who know both Russian and English and did the work of teaching us native speakers. But based on my own calculations, I think there must be less than 20 certified instructors where English is their first language and they don't speak Russian. That might even be 10. I'm not sure. So another thing that our class has talked about is forming a group of those people as a way of sharing information, because at least at this time, none of us have any original work written by Pavel Piskarov or there's no written text that I'm aware of at all. And of course, there are so many more branches and options if you speak Russian and are able to take the original classes, which are always growing and developing, and so many things are being offered. So hopefully that group will grow and some exciting things will come out of that as well. Anna, I don't know where you are in your drawing and how much further you want me to go. I can go ahead and do my
I'm right here with you.
Okay.
Enjoying watching your work, and yeah, so give it another 10 minutes to maybe do the field lines and the fixation.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I'll do next then. So I'll go ahead and do the field lines. And again, if you're, since this audience is this video is geared mostly to people who have a pretty good understanding of Neurographica already. So again, we would have already rounded everything and done this first light coloring on everything. And then what ideally I like to do is I like to look at the drawing and see some of the lines that have just naturally already gotten thicker by the rounding process and the drawing process. And so those become my field lines initially. Now, sometimes it just doesn't work out and I can't see that. But in this case, I'm seeing, I started here, but I'm seeing this line go up. No, I hear Anna in my ear, not really, but I hear her saying that the exterior trunk lines are always your field lines on this drawing as well, of course, to help make your growth and your trunk strong. Your tree support all your ideas. Yeah, I'm still in frame. But with a tree as large as this one would eventually be, you know, with the nine panels of paper, excuse me, I would expect to have at least 4 field lines. Let's see, I think I see one more here, which would also get extended as the paper got extended. And the rounding went. And then some people have a real gift for finding their affixing, I've noticed they can look right at the picture and it just jumps out at them. And I have another teacher who, let's see, Anna says stand up, that's a good way to do it. And I have another teacher who says make your eyes go fuzzy, and that's a good way to do it. Usually I just do it intuitively. I just look at my drawing and see where I'm drawn. That's another thing that I've really loved about this course that was not at all apparent to me in my early courses, which was that once you become an instructor, the Institute really encourages us to go off in our own direction, not to change the basic algorithm, but to enhance the experience of Neurographica with our own biases and interests and areas of expertise to enrich the whole process. So spend a lot of time thinking about how we're going to do that as well. What that looks like to me. I guess for me right now, that's the addition of a psychotherapist in my coaching model. So I think I'm going to put my fixing right in the center. Another thing I really recommend for people is to have several teachers. I've had at least 4 different teachers I can think of off the top of my head in Neurographica, plus other YouTube videos I watched. And it's really broadened my view of Neurographica and given me some clarity as to what are hard and fast rules and really useful to the process, and what are teacher biases or preferences. So what you're seeing me do is a conglomeration of all those different teachers talking to me. And one of those teachers says that when you get your fixation or fixing selected, you pick the color that's already in there that's predominant, and you color the entire a fixed shape with that color right over the top. She's the only teacher I've heard say that. It certainly makes the affixing stand out. And then the other thing that she does that's really interesting is assigning a meaning to that color, which we learned about in Neurocolor, or whatever you want to, whatever meaning you want to assign, however you feel about the color. And then it kind of gives an overarching meaning to your drawing. So in this case, purple is the color I went with. So that feels good to me right now, because that, for me, that represents divine wisdom and soul purpose. And that is definitely how I feel about this journey that I've been on, that I didn't choose it, it chose me. Good. So you get the essential idea of the algorithm. I doubt anybody's got a finished picture at this point, but you get the idea. And know how to finish that on your own. As far as taking the instructor course at all, for those who are trying to decide if it's the right path for them, I will say it is a major commitment, as you can imagine, from the length of time and expense. And it is real school. It's not a casual art class, and it can be very demanding. For me, it was entirely worth it. Of course, the gift for my future is the obvious gift, but also some discipline and some reminding that my brain still works was good for me. And being exposed to a lot of new ideas. And my best advice to those who undertake the class is don't get behind. Never get behind. Keep up with your assignments. Because it's a lot to make up when you get behind. Where are you in your drawing, Anna? I think I'm.
Yeah. I was just gonna say it's such a blissful moment. I didn't want to. That's exactly what happens when you start rounding, and it just takes over, and it's just pure enjoyment.
Well, maybe there are other people out there drawing with us that are lifting up our energy and making it harder to stop.
Yeah, I think with this, we have a few minutes left. You can keep drawing, and if you want to switch your camera so we can chit chat a little bit, I'll come on as well.
There we go.
There you go.
There you are.
Yay.
Did you get a little bit of a tree to run?
I was watching. It was interesting that I just couldn't take my eyes off, just mentally following your marker, and I took notes.
Oh, okay.
Recordable author. I have written to my notepads, love it or hate it, you will certainly recognize the value. It is a real school, not a casual art class. You said that. I thought it was just so spot on.
Yes.
In the beginning, you said you never, the revelation that you had that, interestingly, that changing the size of the present, and that's what the visual of the tree trunk had allowed you to see, that we can add the future and we can explore into the past through the roots, but that the present is here, and it's that trunk of the tree. I thought, like, never thought of it. So finished product is us. Wendy, bravo. Alex, are you watching us? If you're watching us, Grandma is cool.
I'm gonna. We got a heart.
Right. Yeah. So I think we're about to the top of the hour. I do hope, Wendy, that we get a chance to do another masterclass sometime soon.
Sure.
But in the future of the Neuro tree, I think I saw one of those circles as a future masterclass.
Okay, definitely.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very, very welcome.
And again, congratulations. I just want to say that next week we will have a pleasure of, I get a pleasure to interview my supervisor on May 1st. It will be Angelica Greenberg. And May 4th will be one and only Anna Denning. So everyone who's watching us now, mark your calendars. If you were doing drawings, and I'm sure Wendy will finish yours, in Facebook, we have a community group, and we'll make sure that we have the links to that group. If you want to share your drawing, put it on that group, upload it. I'm sure that Wendy would be delighted to see what you've done. And you are welcome to share your drawing as well, Wendy. And how do you feel? How was it?
Good. A little relieved, but good. No, I feel good. I do. I wish I had a finished drawing to show you, but yeah, I enjoyed it. It's
when you finish up, post it on the Facebook so we can see it.
I will do that. And
well, congratulations. That was a debut of becoming a world famous YouTuber. The joy and pride of the grandchildren, Alex, and what are the names of the girls?
Alex and Lily and Sophia.
Alex, Lily, and Sophia. You have best grandma in the whole world. I'm happy for you guys.
You heard it here.
And on this extremely positive note, shall we take a pause until we meet again.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And until we meet again, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.